one of the little gotchas with assembling a kit like this is that a servo, when placed in a holder, can be placed in one of two ways. It can be placed in like this, or it can be placed in like this. And technically, since the bolt holes are symmetrical from side to side, it can be bolted in either way. However, the shaft will be placed in a different place depending on which way you put it in. So being aware of the orientation of the servo and how it goes in is very important. We have very high resolution pictures of this Hexapod assembled and the assembly process. Be aware that there are considerations when assembling it on the orientation of the servo itself.
Great.
So, an example of that being the legs, making sure that the servo is up as much as possible, or up on all of the servos, or down on all of the servos. It can be either one, it's a matter of preference, but consistency is important. Same goes with the end effector piece, and a slightly different set of rules apply for the what we call the shoulder joints, so the up and down motion.
Which would be with these servos here.
These servos here, you see that little label, yellow label there.
Right.
These rotate like this, right?
Yeah.
And they can go in one of two ways, with the servo horn closest to the leg, as the case is with the middle legs, or furthest from the leg, as the case is with the four corner legs. So that is a matter of spacing so that we can compact the size of the Hexapod while at the same time allowing for all of the servos to fit into the overall structure. Now, as far as tuning the servos go, something you should be aware of is that you can actually, pulling off the screw head of these servos releases the horn. So that
What's the horn?
The horn is the little white piece, and this is sort of a standard terminology in the hobby servo terms. You remove the screw, always keep track of your screws. A tip that I like to do is lay out a piece of duct tape rolled into a circle, stick it onto the table, and stick all of your screws onto the piece of duct tape.
That's a good...
For assembling things or disassembling things like laptops, that's where I learned that trick. So what you can do is you can actually pop this horn off, rotate it, and stick it back on, which means the position of the servo doesn't necessarily determine where this horn ends up. So while you're assembling that, keep that in mind. Within the application that runs it, this is actually built into NR console. There is what's called a standard configuration. We have it loaded from inside the application itself. It has a config file, and that config file is always kept up to date with my Hexapod. So, as an example, if I ever change my Hexapod, that will be kept up to date with that. You can take advantage of that by taking all of the horns off the servos, plugging them into the correct ports on the DyIO, and you can actually read the configuration from the NR console application to figure out which ports all the servos should go into, and powering on the DyIO, starting up the application and turning it and setting all the servos to their standard configurations. Then, when assembling them, you can place the horn on whichever orientation makes it fit to the correct place. So as an example, when it starts up, the standard configuration is for the Hexapod to be sitting with its belly on the ground and all the legs straight out. So what you can do here is I removed the screw on this middle piece. So you can see how I could put it in like that, and that would not be right. Or I could pull it up, shift it over, center it, and then push it back down. And now, when I start this up, this leg is going to be correct. But that process of pulling it out and tuning it is something that the application lets you do. But if you assemble it with that in mind from the beginning, as soon as you're done assembling, it's ready to walk. And that would be the most fun experience from someone who's spent so much time assembling these things. There's a lot of little bits and pieces, a lot of little niggly things to assemble. And once it's all together, it's always fun to say, boom, powered on, and now it runs.
Great.
So that would be a trick to get that working as quickly as possible.
How long, you're an expert, how long does it take you to assemble one?
So the first one that I assembled took about 3 hours because that was the first one ever made. The second one took about an hour. I could say I could probably keep whittling it down, but for a novice user, I'd say expect to set aside about 3 hours of build time. And if it takes less time, then that means you're just that much better.
Okay, we could have a Hexapod building party. We need 20 kits, and it's a great birthday party activity.
Well, right now I only have this one that you guys bought and one more in stock, but
Okay,
so there's a
we'll
little bit of lead time.
We'll give you some lead time.
If you need any more.
Great.
Just get that back in peaceful again.
Thanks.